So these numbers for the vote total for the government shutdown are kind of crazy to me, because we're going to do the 60 votes, right? We got to have 60 votes in order to overcome the filibuster threat, right? You got to vote for cloture, and so let's say 51 senators vote for something, but the other side threatens a filibuster. You can just vote for cloture. That stops the filibuster. If you can't vote for cloture, then the minority side can filibuster the bill indefinitely, and it'll never be voted upon, and it'll never get passed. This happened during Obama all the fucking time. Mitch McConnell, that's all Mitch McConnell did was fucking implode the goddamn government from underneath Obama. That's all he fucking did was implode the entire government underneath Obama, because the buck stops with Obama. The American people don't give a damn what the senators and the congressmen are doing. They don't give a damn. If the country goes in the wrong direction, the president gets the blame. If the country goes in the wrong direction, the president gets the blame. So here's 5 other bills that have passed. There's been 5 votes when it comes to the government shutdown. The first one, September 19th, was 44 to 48. The second one was 55 to 45. Then 55 to 45, then 54 to 44, and then 52 to 42. So the Republican bill, it was 48 to 44, so it lost. They lost. But 55 to 45, they won. They got the majority. But they didn't get the 60 votes that they need to stop the filibuster. And then 55, 45 again, and then 54, and then 52. So technically, the Republicans have the majority. There is even a Democrat-led bill that got 50 votes to 45, which is kind of incredible. 50 votes to 45. So, their bill is actually like almost as good, in terms of numbers of getting close to 60 than the other side's bill is. So that whole filibuster thing, 60 votes, unlimited debate, the filibuster can only be ended by a cloture. And then ultimately, if I was on the majority side, I would almost challenge the minority side to, all right, well then you got to do your filibuster, right? Can you imagine Mitch McConnell just reading out of the goddamn telephone book for hours on end, for months and months and months? Eventually, they would get tired of filibustering the damn thing, right? So you could kind of call their bluff out. They could do the nuclear option. Couldn't they just do the nuclear option and just straight up vote for the bill, 51 votes, and say the majority prevails, and fuck the cloture filibuster? Basically call out their bluff. If they filibuster, then you'll have to deal with the filibuster, but just, them threatening filibuster is enough. Democrats who actually voted for the 52-42 vote today was Catherine Cortez Masto from Nevada, John Fetterman, that Pennsylvania piece of shit, that fat-ass fucking zionizing motherfucker, and Angus King, an independent from ME, is that Maine or Missouri? Which state is ME? Which state is ME? Maine. So you have an independent from Maine. You have Fetterman and Catherine Cortez. They crossed party lines to vote with the Republicans. Rand Paul did not vote for the bill. So even with the 3 Democrats, only Republican that was named was Rand Paul. 5 senators didn't vote on the measure. And so the last bill was 52 to 42. They are 8 votes away from 60. They're not even close to getting 60. They got to get, all the fucking... they only had 5 senators that didn't vote. 6 senators that didn't vote. So even if they got all the people that didn't vote to vote, they still don't have the majority, 42. As long as the opposition gets 40. As long as the opposition gets 40, then that will stop the majority from getting 60. Now there's a tiebreaker, right? There's a tiebreaker vote with the vice president. I read somewhere else here, they said that sometimes you don't need a 60-vote rule when it comes to budget reconciliation, when it comes to judicial and executive nominations. For some reason, we don't do the filibuster, shit for those 2 items. So I don't know how this thing is going to go down. And it just becomes a big pointing, big blame game. Even if the Democrats are using leverage, the Republicans could end this by providing the 21 million Americans who are going to get their health care kicked. 21 million Americans are going to get their health care taken away from them. Just finance the fucking health care. You could finance the fucking health care, and then it'll pass. It'll pass. But they don't want to do this. This is how they've been fucking treating Democrats the whole time. You hear the goddamn rhetoric, right? When it comes to Charlie Kirk, it's the entire left, all goddamn half the fucking country, right? Half the fucking country. Those who are in a bunch of right-wing, fascist, extremist fucking piles of shit. That's who, contributed to Charlie Kirk being shot, even though it was just Tyler Robinson. So really it was just one fucking guy, most likely. I mean, there's actually a lot of holes in that narrative, because why were they doing baseball signals? The shot came to the left, to the front. It looks like an exit wound. You're telling me that the damn spinal cord stopped that fucking 30-06 goddamn shot? There's a bunch of weird shit that happens after the thing. There's somebody hands off some shit. Somebody takes a micro card from the fucking video camera. We haven't got all the information. He jumps down from the building, but he doesn't have the gun on him. They said that he had disassembled it and then reassembled it out into the fucking woods or some shit. There's a lot of crazy inconsistencies. The chats, the text message chats, that didn't seem legit either. I mean, my God, the guy is like writing goddamn, encyclopedias when it's just on text, just with thumbs. You're writing an encyclopedia, just full sentences, making sure you have used proper punctuation and shit. Just a lot of different. But the entire half the country, so there's 340 million people, so that's what 170 million? Well, you know who really shot Charlie Kirk? 170 million Americans. So with that kind of fucking rhetoric, they're not treating the Democrats with respect. They're not treating the left with respect. They're saying, fucking do as you're told, you piece of shit, or else. Do as you're told or else. And as long as the goddamn Democrats keep on folding, they can't fold. Even if you could say that the Democrats are using their leverage and so therefore it's their fault. No, it's not. Trump and the Republicans could have been working with Democrats the whole fucking time. Trump and the Republicans could have been... They're doing the same shit that they're doing to Hamas. They're basically just saying, just give us your guns and give us the hostages and then just trust us. Trust us, we'll show you mercy. Sure, we'll show you mercy. Yeah, bullshit. You gotta have leverage. That's the only thing these motherfuckers understand is money and power. So, who's to blame if Republicans, if Donald Trump had been, including the Democrats in the conversations, they could have worked this out a long time ago. But they don't want to because ultimately the Republicans hate health care. They don't give a fuck about the life of the American people. They don't give a shit about health care. They don't care if they're going to, throw 21 million Americans off their health care. They don't give a fuck. They're going to say it's for the immigrants because that's a lie and they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They'll just straight up lie. Oh, the Democrats want to give health care to the fucking illegals. No, it's about Obamacare. We know that Trump hates Obamacare. We know Republicans hate, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Healthcare is life. They hate our fucking lives. They don't give a shit about the life of the American people. They just want to suck their goddamn motherfucking paymaster's dick. And so, this is Obamacare. And there's subsidies that Obamacare was paying for a lot of the poor people, so they want to stop paying for those subsidies. They could just, pass a clean bill, and then later on, they'll vote for the thing later on, kick the can down the road. Why kick the can down the road? Let's deal with this issue right here, right now. Are you going to go ahead and extend those subsidies for Obamacare, or are you going to cut those subsidies? You got rid of the, mandate. You got rid of the individual mandate on Obamacare, so that was a huge deal. And now you're going to come after all of, fucking Obamacare. You're going to pull out Obamacare, root and branch and all. You're going to totally eradicate Obamacare by making sure that these Medicare, Medicaid payments aren't going to be provided. And so it's interesting, the ones that voted against here's 5 that didn't vote on the Democratic bill, but they said it didn't matter because, if you don't get the 60 votes, they got the 45 that was... So they got the 50 that was against it. So anyways, they said it didn't matter. But these 5, guys didn't vote right here. So who knows how they would have voted if they had voted. But the numbers just seems crazy, 45 to 50. So Democrats, it seems like their numbers are just as wide as the Republicans. There's 10 vote difference, 52 to 42 with the Democrats, 50 to 45. There's a 5 vote difference. So it does seem a little crazy that it almost seems like the Democrat-led bill is up against the Republican-led bill, almost like the Democrat-led bill could pass. But just going back to the 3 names, Rand Paul and, Donald, there's another thing. He keeps on shitting on people in his own party. So Rand Paul isn't allowed to go to the goddamn, the Catalina wine mixer thing or whatever. So the Republicans all do this big festival thing. We're just going to kick Rand Paul out because he said something bad about the president one time. If you would have included Rand Paul would be there. You would have Rand Paul's votes. And then these three fuckers, John Fetterman, I mean, what the fuck is up with Catherine Cortez Masto and Angus King? Why are they breaking ranks? Why are they breaking ranks so bad? It's like, hey, Schumer did the respectable thing and he went ahead and financed the government. What you did is you caved to a fucking fascist. You caved to a fascist piece of shit. He's been running this country like a goddamn fascist authoritarian piece of shit. And if he wasn't such a goddamn arrogant fucking piece of shit, then this wouldn't have happened either. So he's been an overly arrogant fucking corporatist, fascist partisan. He's been hyper fucking partisan this entire fucking reign. This regime, this Third Reich, this Ku Klux Ham has been nothing but far-right extremist, anti-fucking Democrats. He wants to try to tell us that Chuck Schumer is like Che Guevara. Chuck Schumer is so fucking far-right conservative. Joe Biden, all these Republicans were pissed off that Joe Biden was inflation, right? All the inflation is bad. Donald Trump has raised the prices on everything. Inflation all over the fucking place. And prices are going up on every fucking thing. They don't give a fuck about inflation. They don't give a fuck about if they just want their guy winning. It doesn't matter if they'll drive us straight to hell as long as they're the ones in the driver's chair. They don't give a shit. So, yeah, they could have been more conciliatory. They could have been more compromising. They could have, instead of just saying, let's work out a bill amongst ourselves and then, shove it down the fucking Democrats' throat. They could have been trying to work with a couple Democrats in order to get the 60 votes. So, they can't get the 60 votes. And since they can't get the 60 votes, that's why the goddamn, it's a partial government shutdown, too. So, it's not a total government shutdown. But, and also the fascism, the ICE and the fucking wars and shit, at the very end, they cut all the fucking funding on everything. So that's a good way to end all the wars, just cut all the funding to the wars. That'd be a good way to stop the fucking goddamn mass fascist rage, just cut the funding to all of it. So that's a little bit of an understanding to what's going on with the government shutdown. Let's take a listen to a couple of these people.
In Washington, D.C., and who did I bump into? One of my favorite members of the United States Congress, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
And one of my favorite senators.
All right.
4 hugs.
Anyhow, as everybody knows,
4 hugs.
in a government shutdown.
So the thing is, Bernie Sanders pulls AOC into a side hug and won't let go. It did last for like 10 seconds.
Clean CR to keep the government open.
Well, there's nothing clean about it. This is one of the dirtiest tricks that is being pulled on the American people right now. Your insurance, your monthly insurance premiums are going to double for millions of people across the country.
At a time when we are already paying, by far, the highest prices in the world.
Why does he keep interrupting her? It's annoying. Let her make her point.
You're a right-winger. Shut up. You're just throwing shit out, you fucking prick. Let's not listen to you.
To watch her getting to the center in the next couple of years is because she wants to be a president.
It doesn't work that well for the American people. That's why people are frustrated about it. We don't spend money responsibly here. We haven't for many years. And the reason for that is because typically, for the annual funding of the government, it's done in a back room. Literally, there's a deal made by the top 4 leaders in Congress. And
most people don't realize that this is one of the healthiest superfood you can eat. This isn't your typical supermarket.
At stake, and there is a lot of risk in this moment, but the last thing they want you to do is laugh at them. The last thing they want you to do is make fun of them, because that diminishes them far more than them trying to stick a boot in your face. The fact of the matter is like, these people are, yes, tremendously dangerous, but a lot of them are tremendously dull. And I remember this moment earlier this year. I was hosting Know Your Rights seminars with our immigrant community and with our U.S. citizen community as well. Because as we've seen, ICE's taking up U.S. citizens as well and abusing the rights of U.S. citizens.
That's hoisted upon the members, usually at the end of the year, right before a holiday, in an omnibus spending bill. Sometimes the bills are thousands of pages long, and it's always said that few members have fully read it or understood it. That's largely true because they weren't involved in the process. So when I became Speaker, I've been doggedly determined to make this House and the Senate work again, to do right by the American people, to get the process, to rebuild the muscle memory, to get back to the way it is supposed to. Into the camera and tell you very clearly, Republicans are the ones concerned about health care.
Republicans care about health care. Get the fuck out of here.
Following the law is not just for U.S. citizens.
Med beds for everyone.
Too, and they need to follow the law as well. And so when you know what the law is and what your rights are, you can enforce those rights. So I was hosting a lot of these Know Your Rights seminars throughout the district. And Tom Homan, who was the acting director of ICE, who was later allegedly reported to be taking $50,000 in cash in kava bags, whatever.
Yeah, he took a bribe. He took a bribe.
According to some
he should be impeached.
But back then, Tom
Homan should be impeached for taking a bribe. $50,000 FBI bribe.
I'm going to request that the Department of Justice open an investigation onto you, a legal investigation onto you into aiding and abetting crime. Excuse me? Aiding and abetting crime. We are aiding and abetting the prevention of crime because people need to know their rights so that their rights aren't violated. So anyways, he goes on and makes this huge public announcement about how he wants to target me for a federal investigation.
Working around the clock every day to fix health care. This is not talking points for us. We've done it. A big part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, was to fix health care. Health care is broken in America. It's too expensive. The quality of care needs to rise. We need more access for more people, and we have lots of ideas to do that. But that issue is for debate in the next 3 months. It always was. We have members working on that. The tax credit, the subsidy you've heard about that expires December 31st, there's a lot of thoughtful debate and discussion that has already been going on about that and will go on about that. But that's a December 31 issue. So Chuck Schumer is scrambling. He has to have an issue. None of their policies are very popular, so they decided to lob onto health care. And he decided to claim to all of you that is the issue with government funding. It is not. They're two totally separate things. The clean continuing resolution would simply keep the lights on so that the members in the House and Senate can have those debates on health care.
Right?
We were always
this guy has a lot of power, right? He was the acting director of ICE. He has a direct line to Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice.
Day 3, you'll feel your energy.
Who,
Day 7, your eyes will change. Day 28, you will become unrecognizable.
Actual respect for the law is eroding by the day. And it doesn't matter whether it's legal or not. It doesn't matter if it's right or not. They have the power, and they are positioned to abuse their power and to open such a thing on totally baseless grounds that even if it's false, they can try to do that, right? And so that's a scary thing. So I can respond to that going after criminals. They're going after kids. There was a 7-year-old in my district that got taken by ICE. A 7-year-old.
By Congress. They put that on the tab.
And I've been doing what I can to try to...
we reversed it. Chuck Schumer would repeal that. He would repeal those repairs, and this is what it would cost you. Do the math. I won't go through each line, but it's on the website, speaker.gov. You can pull this up. It amounts to $192 billion. $192.8 billion. With autoimmune deficiencies who are also disabled, they cannot go visit the doctor's office. So thankfully, mercifully, they've been able to be treated at home. But all that just stopped. So people are canceling their health appointments, appointments with their...
Because deep, deep, deep down inside, they feel and know how small they are. And in order for a small person to feel big, they have to crush someone else. And like that is what their whole political identity is all about. It is about this forced supremacy that is based on nothing because they feel and know how small they actually are. And instead of actually fixing the things that are making them so small and insufficient, they have to pick on someone, or they have to pick on communities that have no one defending them. That's what this is all about. This whole thing, this whole fight about, Democrats are shutting down the government because they want health care for illegal immigrants.
Because
First of all,
Democrats
totally
over here
false.
are playing games.
Second of all,
we have one plea and one plea alone. We need a handful of Democrats to stop the madness, reopen the government, so that we can get to these critical debates about the year-end policy decisions with regard to the further reforms in health care. Plain and simple, that's where we are.
Right?
That's the facts, and everybody can draw.
They are trying to come back.
They've been saying
with
that some of the insurance companies will be sending out notices
being like,
in early November.
but there are some federal funds that could possibly, on the state level, da-da-da. You know what they're actually pointing to is that Ronald Reagan in the 1980s, the United States passed a law that said if you walk into an ER, a hospital cannot refuse you care if you can't afford it, if you're not covered. Because we decided that we wanted to be a civilized country, that if someone gets hit by a car and they're bleeding out, that a doctor isn't checking for their insurance coverage before they go rush into an emergency room. Like that you are treating the human being first. Because we don't want to live in, trust me, regardless of your stances on immigration, you do not want to live in a country where that law is reversed.
Wait, did you know you could get your windows replaced for free? If you're 62 or older and own a home, the government is...
We're seeing this too, right? And so I think I think it's very important to be able to hold multiple things at once. And we've seen this work in other cultures. We've seen this work in other countries. Yes, the resistance to authoritarianism is very real. The risks of abuse of power are very real. But one of the most powerful cultural things that you can do to a political movement that is predicated on the puffery of insecure masculinity. That's what this is about. This isn't, people talk about toxic masculinity. More than it, let's put that to the side for just 1 second. This is about insecure masculinity. And one of the best ways that you can dismantle a movement of insecure men is by making fun of them. By having secure men who aren't afraid of successful people around them, who are good dads, who have strong values, also participating in that as well. So